Hi, Grace Church. It is an interesting time to be alive. And what we get to do right now is a little devotional together, and we're actually going to do three of them. And what I want to talk about is highlighting a few responses from Scripture to world catastrophes. Now we know that lots of people die every day from all different kinds of things, but needless to say, this coronavirus has really changed the world as we know it in some ways. And so we want to be able to think biblically and to think rightly through this type of thing. We may live to see something that is truly catastrophic in the number of deaths it brings one day. We may not, but we want to know if that does happen in our lifetime, well, how do we respond? And so we're going to look at three different passages over the next three videos, and we're going to be talking about the three responses that the Bible shows us to global catastrophes. So the first one that we're going to look at is in Genesis 8. Genesis 8 is in the middle, towards the end of the story of Noah and the flood. And you know, something we kind of miss when we just teach this in Sunday school over and over again, and we talk about the rainbow, and we talk about God, he's not going to destroy the earth again, and that's good and beautiful and right. But we miss some of the drama of the moment when Noah gets out of the ark. In Genesis chapter 8, starting in verse 20, this is when Noah comes out of the ark. It says, then Noah, let's start in verse 18. Verse 18, so Noah went out, and his sons and his wife and his sons' wives with him. Every beast, every creeping thing, and every bird, everything that moves on the earth went out by families from the ark. But what we know is that other than the animals with Noah and the people with him, every person and every animal across the face of the earth is killed. And so as the waters recede and as Noah steps out of the ark, think about the picture of what he sees when he looks around. He looks around and he sees, presumably, death everywhere. The face of the earth, it says that the windows of heaven were open and the deeps shoot forth their fountains. The whole structure of the earth is likely changed and shifted, and there's death everywhere. And in verse 20, what does Noah do immediately when he sees this? Then Noah built an altar to the Lord and took some of every clean animal and some of every clean bird and offered burnt offerings on the altar. When Noah sees God's scary, difficult, terrible judgment on the earth, he worships. And that's response number one to any difficulty in our own life, to any difficulty on a global or national level. Response number one for a believer is worship. It's sort of difficult maybe to think of it this way, but Christians, in a way that non-Christians can never get to, we can worship even when God brings difficulty, pain, death, suffering, because we know that he's the good God who did nothing wrong, who does whatever he wants in heaven or on earth, and he's good and he's right. And so our primary heart response, whether he brings what we would call good or what we would call bad, we worship. So that's Noah's response, and that should be our primary response. And in the next couple videos, we'll talk about the next two responses that we see in the scripture.